Another person that we're watching is Harvey Mason Jr., CEO of the Recording Academy. Bloomberg's Romaine Bostick, you may recognize him as the anchor of this show, recently spoke with Harvey about his career working with some of the world's biggest artists like Michael Jackson, executive producing his Netflix series Hitmakers, and the impact AI is having on music. Take a listen.
First thing I say is you better figure out how to learn everything that it can do, understand the capabilities, understand what the possibilities are, because it is here and it's going to be a part of our industry. It's going to be part of our creative process going forward. And then we have to figure out how to compete, how to make great art, great music, great things that people want to hear and people can resonate with. What we can create as humans is going to be very different from what AI can create. So there's that difference, but it's also making sure we're advocating. We're setting up legislation or guardrails around AI to protect human creativity.
So, I mean, with regards to the guardrails, I mean, there has been some degree of progress in Washington in trying to sort of create some contours for that. But the industry can also set their own standards as well. And I'm wondering, how far along are you in those types of discussions about having some sort of industry standard in absence of a more formal federal regulatory standard?
I like to think that we're making progress, although it's been somewhat disjointed. You know, you have a lot of stakeholders between songwriters and publishers and labels and management companies. So we're trying to figure out how we are going to regulate this internally and at least make some guide rails or some guardrails around it, because right now it feels a little bit like the Wild West. There's music being created with artist's voice and likeness that is unauthorized and not credited properly. We're not having the appropriate approvals or monetization strategies around some of these new creations. So a lot of work still is yet to be done.
And before you were running the Academy, you spent several years of your career as a producer, as a songwriter. You worked with some of the greatest artists out there, the Justin Biebers and the Whitney Houstons and a bunch of others that I'm sure I'm forgetting. What was the creative process like back then, sort of in absence of some of the technology that we have today? And what would that look like now for whatever the next generation of Whitney Houstons and Justin Biebers that are in the studio today?
Everybody has a different process. Everybody creates differently in their own unique ways. Some people start with music, some people start with lyrics and an idea. What we've always done is we've used tools, we've used new technologies, advancements in how music is being made, and we've always figured out how to use them and make great art, great music. So this is not unlike maybe the invention of digital recording or Pro Tools, or maybe like Auto-Tune, how we enhanced vocals. This, however, could be more disruptive in the sense that it reduces the amount of human interaction. So when we would normally sit at a piano and play chords or a bass line, we just say, computer, AI, generate me piano chords, generate me a bass line. So that takes a lot of the traditional musicianship out of the creative process. I'm not saying that's going to be good or bad, but it is going to be very different. It's going to be very disruptive as to how we've made music in the past.
Do you think, is there a difference? I mean, when you listen to a song that's been completely AI generated, does it have a different feel to it? I know creatives will talk about this idea of that, you know, there's sort of a soul that human beings have that we sort of impart on our art that in theory we don't think computers and electronics can do.
I totally believe that. I think what humans put into our music, it comes from here. It comes from a deep place that I don't even understand, but the human experience develops that and creates that and manifests in our music. However, is there going to be a premium placed on that? And is that going to be something that consumers are looking for and something that will resonate with listeners? I can't be sure. I hope that it will. And if it is something that's important, then we'll always be important as creators.
You know, it's funny. You know, I was watching that new Netflix show, The Hitmakers, that you're a producer on. And it was kind of eye-opening just to kind of see the songwriting process. And I know there's a lot cut out in the middle in order for brevity. But it gets to this idea of whether that collaborative nature that we used to see in the music industry, whether that's even necessary. I mean, we've already seen it with the advent of digital tools on computers and people being able to basically just sit in their bedrooms or in their homes and make music and sync vocals and effectively put out an album without ever really effectively stepping into that normal studio environment that a lot of us grew up on.
You're absolutely right, but I think there's something special about people coming together, talking about their lives, figuring out how to express their emotions, tell their stories. That's something that computers just aren't able to do. What we can't be complacent about, though, is the quality of music and potentially lyric and performance that AI is generating right now, let alone in the next few years.